Well, hello there, math students. This is Mr. Von Ah, and we are talking about geometry. Specifically, geometry that you will see on either the GED or the HiSET or other equivalent tests. And so in our last video, we learned about how we derived pi and how to find the circumference of a circle. And in this video, we're going to find the area of circles. And we've really already done the heavy lifting because we found pi. And so as you might imagine, the formula for the area of a circle also includes pi. Do you know the formula for the area of a circle? It's a good one to memorize. Okay, so the area of a circle is pi, which is approximately 3.14, times the radius squared. All right? So whenever you're doing these area problems with circles, you have to know the radius. If they give you the diameter, you have to calculate the radius. It's really easy. You just take half the diameter and you have the radius. All right, so let's say we have a circle has a diameter of, let's do something big, 40 feet. All right, that's pretty large. That's like a big storage tank or something. And let's say you want to know, hey, how much, what's the area of that circle? What's the area of the base of that tank? Okay, well, as long as you know the formula for the area of a circle, and again, write it out. Area equals pi r squared. Okay, pi is, we'll just leave it as pi for now, because many times they will ask you, what is it in terms of pi? So usually we like to do pi at the very end if needed. So radius, my radius in this case, is it 40? Many students will make the mistake of putting a 40 right there and squaring it. And they're banking on you to do that. In fact, one of the answers in the multiple choice selection will be using 40 as your radius, but it's not. That's the diameter is 40, so you've got to be careful. So what's the radius? Well, the radius, remember, is just half the diameter. All right, you can see that. The red is the radius. It's just halfway through the circle. All right, so if the radius is half the diameter, and the diameter is 40, then we know the radius is 20. All right, so which equals half times 40, which equals 20. 20 what? Feet. That's the radius. Okay. So now what do we do first? Do we go pi times 20 or do we go 20 squared? Well, if you remember your order of operations, it goes grouping symbols, then exponents, then multiplication or division, and then adding or subtracting. So we have to do the exponents before we do the multiplying. So 20 squared, well, I know 2 squared is 4 with 2 zeros on the end, so that's 400. So we get area equals pi, or let's do it this way. Area equals 400 pi. Where did I get the 400? 20 times 20 is 400. Okay, so if they ask you, hey, in terms of pi, there it is. Area equals 400 pi. If they want you to approximate it with a decimal, well, now we have to approximate that. And this time I brought a calculator. All right, so 400 times pi. I actually have a button on my calculator specifically for pi. So it gives me 1,000. So the area is 1,256, and I'm just going to round this to the nearest tenth of a decimal. 1,256.6, and now what's the unit? Well, we're talking about feet, right? But whenever you're dealing with area, it's always in square units, right? Because this was actually feet times feet, right? 20 feet times 20 feet is 400 feet squared. All right, so there's my area of my circle. All right? So very straightforward. As long as you know the formula, you got it. All right, now, a little bit more tricky is when they will give you the area and ask for the radius. So let's say a circle has an area of, oh, I don't know, let's say 900 feet. Now I want to find the radius. Find the radius. Okay. So once again, the first thing we want to do is we want to write out our formula. And the formula for the area of a circle is area equals pi r squared. Very nice. Okay. Let's go ahead and go and input our numbers here. Okay, so our area is, well, area is what? 900 feet squared. So our area is 900 equals pi r squared. Okay, so I want to solve for r. So that means I need to get rid of the pi, don't I, first? Okay, this is pi times r squared. Well, what's the inverse of times? Division. You got it. So I'm going to divide by pi on both sides. Okay, pi divided by pi is 1. So I get 1r squared equals, let's go ahead and put this over here. So I get r squared equals 900 divided by pi. What's 900 divided by pi? Well, let's see here. 900 divided by pi is 286 point, I'll just say 286.5. 286.5. All right. Now, I need to solve for r. But the problem is I have that little exponent there. We call it a square. Okay, now remember, the way we undo things is by using the inverse of what is actually being done. So if I'm multiplying, if I want to get rid of multiplication, I divide. If I'm adding, I want to get rid of it, I do the inverse, which is subtraction. If I have a square and I want to get rid of it, I use its inverse, which is a square root. Square, square root. They're inverses of each other. All right, so I'm going to take the square root of r squared, but I got to do it to both sides. Right, and just kind of to prove this works, let me do a little sidebar over here. If I have the number 4 and it's squared, of course 4 squared is 16, plus or minus 16. Now watch what happens if I take the square root of this. All right? So 4 squared is, we'll just say the principal square root is 16. Okay, so that's 16, but I still have that square root there, right? Okay, what's the square root of 16? 4. Right? So what happened to get from here to there? What did I lose? Well, I lost the square root symbol and I lost the square symbol, didn't I? Why? Because they're inverses of each other and they undo each other. So anytime you have a square and you want to get rid of it, take the square root. If you got a square root and you want to get rid of it, just square it. All right, so in this case, we want to get rid of that square, so we square root it. All right, so the square root of r squared is r. So r equals, now this is where a calculator really comes in handy, the square root of 286. The square root of 286.5, I'm going to go ahead and take the square root of that. And I get about 16.9. About 16.9. 16.9. And that is in feet, not feet squared, right? Radius is just in feet. All right, so if you were rounding that to the nearest whole number, of course it would be 17 feet. Okay? So that's how you find the area when given the radius and how to find the radius when given the area. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you can get any new videos that I make. In the meantime, may God richly bless you.